It's showtime, everybody. I'm Rob Wu, and this is Pancrase, Legends of Mixed Martial Arts. And sitting alongside me, as always, our expert analyst. You might know him as the Babyface Assassin. I just call him the big guy. It's Josh Barnett.
It's always wonderful to be here, and now we're moving right along into some of the further matches of Pancrase and even closer to establishing their first champion.
Now, I've always wanted to ask you, Josh, how did you get that nickname?
Not by any means of my own, but a promoter, TJ Thompson of Super Brawl, and my old trainer, Matt Hume. I just cleaned everybody's clock in this big heavyweight tournament down in Hawaii. I was making my return back for a super fight against the legendary Dan Severn. And because I was all of 21, 22 years old, and I looked like I was probably about 16, they came up with the nickname of the Babyface Assassin. And at first I was a little hesitant about it, but the thing with nicknames is you don't get to choose them, they give them to you. But
you got a pretty good one.
I suppose so, but as I get older, I don't think I can keep it forever.
I think in their hearts, you will always be the Babyface Assassin.
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you to say, Rob.
All right, enough of that. Let's go to the fighting. It's Katsumi Inagaki versus Yoshiki Takahashi, our first matchup. Any insights on this, Josh?
Well, Takahashi, aggressive as all heck. He's going to come right out the gate, and I'm sure he's going to focus primarily on a striking attack. Inagaki, really known for his toughness. I think he's going to try and weather the storm and look for the submission at some point. Maybe use a little bit of a cooler head and hoping that Takahashi's going to make a big mistake.
All right, let's find out how this fight unfolds.
Yoshiki Takahashi versus Katsumi Inagaki.
This fight taking place at the Yokohama Cultural Gymnasium, 5,645 people on hand to watch this. Now, Yoshiki Takahashi, his record is just 2-2. Might not be that impressive, but if you look at his losses, he's lost to Shamrock and Funaki, not just two regular stiffs.
No, really the cream of the crop of the organization.
And Katsumi Inagaki, you see right there, is 1-3. And last week, we saw him basically pass out versus Suzuki, a bad, devastating loss.
Right. But as his record would indicate, he's on the losing side of things at this point. But Inagaki would be a stalwart of Pancrase and continue to fight on and actually do quite well.
And Inagaki looking very aggressive to start, but Takahashi has a hold of him and takes him down.
And surprisingly, Takahashi is what I'd expect to come right out the gate throwing leather, and instead finishes with a double leg takedown, and now going into the face lock here. Inagaki trying to continue to relieve the pressure by turning.
And he seems to have wiggled out, Josh. But Takahashi persists, and he has that hold again.
Takahashi seems really hell-bent on getting a face lock on Inagaki at this point. Right now, keeping the back control and a one-on-one wrist ride, and just staying behind him and continuing to work the face.
Inagaki maybe trying to stand up, but Takahashi not allowing him, keeping this fight to the mat. Does Takahashi have the advantage when this fight goes down to the mat?
Well, Takahashi really needs to keep things moving and has to keep his opponent reacting, because Takahashi is a very physical, aggressive wrestler, whereas some of the other fighters like Funaki are very more of an IQ type fighter.
And we see right there, is Takahashi close to getting that chokehold on?
Well, it's hard to say. His position's a little off. But certainly Inagaki has to be sure not to let Takahashi sink that arm across the throat, or this match is done.
We've seen Inagaki lose to a chokehold before, so he is prone to that. And right now, it looks like Inagaki got back on top, but a tough break. The fight gets towards the rope, and the refs break it. It looks like Inagaki, he just saw some daylight, and the ref took it away.
Yeah, leading with the middle kick and following up with a shote. Takahashi, inside low kick, middle kick, but losing his balance and ending up on the ground.
Whoa, right there. We almost saw Inagaki throw a kick to Takahashi while he's on the ground. That is not legal, Josh.
Exactly. I think he pulled up a little bit, and the ref noticed that it wasn't too much serious of an infraction.
Once again, Takahashi going for the takedown and gets it, but once again, the fighter's close to the rope, and a very wise move by Takahashi, moving Inagaki towards the center of the ring, where if he would to put on a submission hold, Inagaki cannot grab the ropes to escape.
Right, just like this cross-arm scissor he just set up right there. Great position for Takahashi, really difficult position for Inagaki, but if he's smart and he realizes his position, he knows that he might be able to get to a rope in case things get really dire.
And if Inagaki lets go of his left arm, I think this fight will be over.
I agree. He's in a dangerous position, and he's in the near finish right now, so he has to be careful.
And there he does grab the rope. Takahashi momentarily got the armbar, but since Inagaki grabs the rope, he loses 1 point. But he does have 5 points remaining, so he's not in terrible shape yet.
Sure. Good presence of mind. He did lose a point, but he's still in the fight.
Both fighters exchanging kicks. Takahashi now striking with the palms. Inagaki trying to keep him close to prevent those strikes. Not sure if it's working. Takahashi now throwing knees. And another takedown. Takahashi looks like he's got a game plan coming into this.
Yeah, he really seems to be setting up some big strikes on the feet, but always finishing with the takedown. Specifically a double leg with an outside leg sweep and getting the top position against Inagaki.
And it looks like Takahashi going for another rear naked choke. This is the same move that he lost to Minoru Suzuki with.
That's true, and Inagaki is in much better position here. If he keeps turning to his left, punch his elbow across just like he did. Now he's on top, half guard to a side control position, and now working a headlock and looking to isolate one of his arms.
Now, do you think the crowd will root Inagaki on simply because he's the underdog in this fight so far?
You know what? In Japan, that's a very common thing. The underdog will receive even more support than what you might expect. And I'm sure, if anything, the fans are really looking forward to Inagaki finding some success.
And explain to us a little bit, what are the fighters doing right now?
Well, Inagaki's working for a double wrist lock there, and he was driving his knee into Takahashi's grip, trying to break it free.
Oh.
Going for the toe hold, Takahashi read the move from a mile away and snatched up the sleeper choke on Inagaki.
And Inagaki loses another point. That's 2 down, 3 to go.
Certainly a strong showing from Takahashi so far.
And a nice right leg kick by Inagaki, but it looks like Takahashi just absorbed it and took him down again.
Yeah, it was a good high kick by Inagaki, but not quite enough muster on it. Takahashi had his hand up and was able to transition into a Achilles lock on the takedown. Now here going into the heel hold.
Oh my god, it looks like Inagaki's ankle is twisting in all sorts of directions it doesn't belong in.
Yeah, it's a pretty nasty looking. I know if it was me, my knee would already be in pieces, but Inagaki is a pretty limber fellow.
And he manages to slip out of that. Give him some credit.
Certainly no one's going to question Inagaki's toughness or resolve in this match.
Takahashi with the side control.
Again, working the crossface, looking for perhaps a choke or a face lock.
I think that choke is coming. It looks like Takahashi is getting close to applying that choke, but no, Inagaki wisely manages to turn his body around.
Takahashi, so looks like he's still maintaining a half guard position, perhaps thinking about knee bar or looks like a shote right across the face on the ground there. Hand control by Takahashi, continuing to ride Inagaki's hips and keep him flat on the mat. Working it again across the neck here is Takahashi. I think he...
Going for another chokehold.
Yeah, exactly.
And it looks like he might have it on, and it looks like he does have the rear naked choke on Inagaki's face. This is the same face we saw against Suzuki, and now I think he has passed out, Josh.
Again, the same choke, the short choke, which is not a full sleeper as most people are used to seeing, but driving that forearm bone straight across the trachea. Getting the job done.
張り手は食らうし、自分の張り手は全然もうどこ行ってるのか分かんないから、これはもうダメだなと思って寝技に移りました。途中でハイキックも食らったじゃないですか。あんなハイキック空手からだったらやばいんじゃないですか。
Now, Josh, Katsumi Inagaki, he lost to a formidable opponent, Takahashi, no one to snore at. But now Inagaki's 1-4. How much does it hurt his confidence to lose in this fashion for the second time?
If I'm Inagaki's trainer, I've got to sort of pinpoint the root of his problems and see why does he keep making the same mistakes. It's not necessarily the end of the world to give up your back position like that in these fights, but Inagaki keeps getting caught in the same thing over and over. He's really got to practice on knowing when his opponents are going to reach for his neck, getting hand control, keeping his chin down. And maybe if I'm Inagaki, what I'm going to do is, if I know people are going to go after my neck because they've seen that I've lost this way, maybe I should start learning ways to use that advantage of people attacking my neck and use it as my own way to set up a counter.
We'll see if he improves on that in the later weeks. All right, when we come back for break, it's Andrei Van de Uitlaar versus Vernon Tiger White. Welcome back to Pancrase, Legends of Mixed Martial Arts. Now we're going to see Andrei Vande Utlar versus Vernon Tiger White. Josh, both fighters, their records not very impressive so far.
Well, both of them are fairly new to the sport of mixed martial arts in general. Although the one thing to be said is Utlar is going to come in with a sizable reach and strength advantage, and size advantage too.
All right, let's see if that size advantage helps him win the match.
Vernon Tiger White versus Andrei Vande Utlar.
And here we see Andrei Vande Utlar, like Bas Rutan, also from Holland. But Josh, obviously Andrei Vande Utlar, not the caliber of a fighter that Bas Rutan.
No, and I don't believe he comes from a striking background as Bas does either. I believe he's actually more of a grappler.
And Vande Utlar 0-2 in his career. He's yet to win a fight. Perhaps this will be his first one. And it'll come against Vernon Tiger White, who, and actually, Josh, what is he doing right there? That looks very peculiar.
I'm not too familiar. Maybe it's a derivative of whatever style of grappling, or maybe judo or jiu-jitsu that he has practiced with home. But your guess is as good as mine.
And I will not take that guess. Vernon Tiger White 1-3 so far, and he actually just got married over the summer. If any of you want any updates on that.
Well, I guess that means he's certainly not retired from fighting.
No, definitely not. And as the fight starts, we see both fighters, perhaps not the most skilled in Pancrase, but sometimes when you're trying to grow yourself, it's not always smart to fight the best. You might want to fight someone on your own skill level.
Certainly, I think it's an even match between the two of them. Utlar, they're working for a headlock position and maybe a arm lock or neck lock from there. Surprisingly enough, I can't understand why Vernon would shoot in on a guy so much bigger than him and attempt to sort of engage in a battle of physicality with Vande Utlar, who is clearly bigger. And actually, from my old trainer, Matt Hume, I was told that he's incredibly strong for his size.
So if you're Vernon Tiger White, what's your game plan?
I think it's really use your speed and agility to try and stay on the outside, pick your shots, maybe feed a high kick or a back spin kick in on Vande Utlar, and be mobile. Stay relatively towards the ropes, as Vernon there used a rope escape to get out from underneath him because he wanted to get back on the feet. He wasn't quite in any danger with any submission, but if he can stay near the ropes, even if he does get taken down, it might just get broken without having to use a rope escape.
And it looks like Andrei Vande Utlar is on the attack, backing White into a corner and now taking him down.
Yeah, certainly you can see the inexperience in both fighters, but in Vernon's case, his inexperience is showing in that he is allowing Vande Utlar to use his size and strength. In fact, he's actually coming into Vande Utlar's size, and really sort of a difficult thing to try and work if you're that much smaller and as well as inexperienced as Vernon White is at this point.
Now, Andrei Vande Utlar had the side control, but I think fortunately for White, the fight got too close to the ropes. I think he caught a break there, maybe.
Right, he was in a headlock position, and he certainly wasn't.
And I think that was a spinning leg kick by Vernon White, a low blow, and Andrei Vande Utlar is feeling it.
Well, unlike a lot of the competitions nowadays, back then Pancrase was so new, and a lot of these guys did not wear
there you
foul
see on
protectors.
And there you see on the replay, and I just saw Vernon White's face. I don't think he's sorry at all.
Well, it might have been a break to try and slow down the match, or maybe change the pace, but neither one of those guys are wearing cups, so that couldn't have felt too good.
I haven't had any first-hand experience, but I'll take your word for it, Josh. And as we see both fighters, the referee, I guess he could have assessed a penalty to White, because I guess it is a foul, but since it was incidental, I guess he just wanted to let it go.
Just got off with a warning.
But he can be rest assured, if he does that again, he figures to get at least a yellow card, if not a red card. And he tries another spinning leg kick now. I don't know about that, but if that connected, you might have seen a repeat.
Yeah, his back spin kick is really not really well aimed, and it's really hitting it quite a bit lower than it really should be.
And White just getting manhandled into the ropes. I think the ref's going to have to break it again, which he does. And Vande Utlar, he might be 0-2, but he certainly doesn't look like a fighter who hasn't had a win yet in his career.
That's true, and perhaps he senses the difficulty that Vernon's been having this entire match, and he feels like he's got some advantage coming into this, and maybe that his win is just a second away.
Andrei working on the arms, but also body shots of Vernon White. Now, he might not get knocked out by a body shot, but over the course of a match, which might last as long as half an hour. Those body shots do accumulate, Josh.
Oh, for certain. And body shots can take the will out of your fight.
As we see Vonde Utlar again on top. Now, what does Vernon White have to do to get out of this position into an offensive position?
Well, Vernon really needs to secure the single leg, keep his head to the inside and circle around to the back, sort of keeping Vonde Utlar's weight directly off the top of him. But here they are back on their feet after a restart. Vernon sort of chipping in the kicks, but really not too confident in his strikes, as I can tell.
And if you're Andre Vonde Utlar, you might want to keep Vernon in the center of the ring. The ref has broken the fight many times for a restart because they're getting too close to the ropes.
Yes. If I'm Vonde Utlar, I want to get a hold of Vernon after eating a right shote there, right up against the left eyebrow of Vonde Utlar.
He might be bleeding, Josh.
Yeah, I think he might have cut him with that shot. But Vonde Utlar's got to, once he gets a hold of Vernon, he needs to pull him back towards the center of the ring so that he can keep him on the mat there and continue to put his size on him.
The doctor takes a look at Vonde Utlar and decides he is fit to continue to fight. And perhaps Vernon White, I was going to say Vernon White might have gained some confidence from that, but it looks like Andre Vonde Utlar cut up and all, not backing down.
Yeah, really, I don't see any pace changing in this match, even after landing that big strike.
Vernon White taps out to the chokehold, and Andre Vonde Utlar wins his first career fight in Pancrase. He's got blood all over his face, but he's got reason to be excited. It's his first ever win.
Yeah, exactly, Robin. And really, that's really just a case of manhandling his opponent, Vonde Utlar, there. And a lot of people like to refer to what I call the front choke as the guillotine, but in my book, that's a guillotine choke where you drop the blade right onto the forearm there. And fortunately, looks like Vernon White had to head up to the guillotine that day.
All right, let's go on to our next match. It's Ryushi Nagasawa versus James Matthews.
Ryushi Nagasawa versus James Matthews.
James Matthews, also from California, and like Andre Vonde Utlar, he's 0-2. Yet to pick up his first victory. Might do it today against Nagasawa.
Well, he certainly didn't choose an easy opponent to try and get that victory over, and I don't think they're too far apart in weight, but height certainly has to go to Nagasawa, and fight experience also would have to go to Nagasawa with his karate and previous pro wrestling background.
Now, we have seen Ryushi Nagasawa before in the previous episode. That's when Boss Rutan, also known as El Guapo, he didn't leave his face looking very guapo after that fight.
No, really a real wake-up call to everybody within Pancrase as to the kind of fighter they're going to run into with Boss Rutan. But in this case, I think we've got more of a wrestler with Matthews against more of a striker in Nagasawa.
And we're seeing those strikes right now. Leg kicks to the side of Matthews. And now Matthews looks like he's going down, and Nagasawa's got the ankle.
Right, beautiful diving toe hold by Nagasawa, and I know he did some damage there.
And the ref, perhaps a split second late to let Nagasawa know that Matthews grabs the rope, and it seems like that ankle's a little ginger.
Oh, he's going to be feeling that for weeks, I guarantee you that.
And do you think Matthews, it looks like his hair reminds me of that guy from Street Fighter, Guile. Do you see the resemblance at all?
I do, but certainly I don't think we'll see any flash kicks out of James Matthews today. Instead, Matthews opts for the double leg takedown, puts the fight onto the ground, and takes the top position against Nagasawa here and taking the back as well.
I'm guessing he's not going to sonic boom him anytime soon either, right?
No. I don't even know if he has any military background, James Matthews, but he does have a half Nelson, and rolling Nagasawa over, maybe looking for the full Nelson here.
And Matthews, for someone who hasn't won a fight, he's started out pretty strong against a formidable opponent.
That's true, and this is a bad position for Nagasawa to be in right here in the full Nelson. This could do a lot of damage to his neck.
And Nagasawa not too close to the rope, so he can't grab it. He's going to have to figure his own way out of this.
Yeah, there he goes. Nagasawa breaking the grip of Matthews, reaching behind his head. Matthews looking for the side choke here, but Nagasawa, wise to that, keeps his elbow in good posture and position, and it's just going to hold out while Matthews has the mount position.
Matthews still on top in the power position. Nagasawa knows Matthews is not the best of fighters, so he doesn't have to rush anything. He could just take things as they come, let his game come to him?
Well, it certainly can be a benefit for Yanagisawa to wait for Matthews to make the mistake as he bridges and turns Matthew over onto his back and gets inside Matthews' guard. But he's got to be careful. He can't be too lax, or otherwise Matthews is going to see his opportunity, and then Yanagisawa is going to have another mark in the loss column.
Yanagisawa applying a choke on Matthews. And Matthews' face, I don't think he's too comfortable, Josh.
No, I don't think Matthews is anywhere near tapping out per se, but I know that Yanagisawa is making his life a little less pleasant down there and keeping his mind off what he needs to do to win this match and instead focusing more on the fact that he's got to remove that elbow from his throat.
And we see Matthews trying to grab the neck of Yanagisawa. What is he trying to do there?
Well, I think at this point Matthews is a little bit at a loss for what he should do. However, did manage to get into position on the ankle, but Yanagisawa is
And I think Yanagisawa is changing that into an arm bar. Matthews in pain. I think he's almost ready to tap out. And he finally does. Ryushi Yanagisawa wins the fight. He is now 3-2. Welcome back, fight fans, and now we're going to see Scott Bezak make his debut. Now, Josh, most of us, we haven't seen him fight yet. Give us a little scouting report.
Scott Bezak, out of the Lion's Den, one of not founders, but one of the fresh recruits to be brought to Pancrase by Ken and the Lion's Den. Big guy, 6'4", I think he runs around 285, one of the larger competitors within Pancrase, but new to this environment, but if he can use his size to his advantage, he might find success.
Yusuke Fuke versus Scott Bezak.
Scott Bezak, as you said, Josh, pretty big guy, 6'4", 240 pounds. And the man he's fighting, Yusuke Fuke, not one of the bigger guys in MMA. Do you see any matchup problems based on both fighters' physical size and stature?
Well, Fuke should have the submission knowledge and the speed, you'd figure, but hey, power and size can certainly slow a person down and negate that technique ability if Fuke is unable to really move or apply much pressure against Bezak.
And as we've said before, Scott Bezak making his debut, Yusuke Fuke, it's his 5th fight. He's 2-2, and Fuke had a pretty successful career, Josh, going all the way up to 2003.
Yeah, Fuke is a real veteran of the sport, coming from the UWF, like some of his cohorts, like Suzuki and Funaki. But as you see there, even with a successful double leg shot, Bezak too much man for Fuke to take off his feet.
And Bezak, so far, displaying some good knowledge. Fuke went for the double leg takedown, was not successful.
Yeah, it leads me to believe that Bezak certainly has some wrestling experience.
Bezak on top, coming from the Lion's Den. And if he is from the Lion's Den, you've got to expect that he has learned some submission moves over his time there.
Yeah, certainly he's going to have rudimentary knowledge of arm and leg locks, especially things like the heel hook, which are a real favorite of Ken Shamrock's.
Bezak has Fuke in the middle of the ring,
working for what looks to be maybe a top wrist lock, or now moving to a half guard position and controlling the neck.
And Fuke, he looks like he might be in a little bit of trouble. Just in how much danger is he exactly in right now?
Well, he seems very aware of Bezak's intention. Bezak trying to lock up the top wrist lock there, as you see, but Fuke's got his arms locked and keeping them high above his head. And there's a break from their proximity to the ropes, but Fuke very, very aware of the danger he's in and just making minor adjustments to not allow Bezak to lock it in.
And Fuke going for another takedown, but the size of Bezak being shown right there. And once again, Fuke 0 for 2 on takedowns so far.
Yeah, Bezak just too big, too strong for Fuke at this point.
And once again, the fighter's near the ropes. If Bezak's wise, he should be trying to move Fuke into the middle of the ring right now.
Exactly. He's on top. He's able to put his weight onto Fuke right now. It would be much wiser to move him away from the ropes to continue to lay his weight on top of him.
And looks like Bezak is throwing palm strikes to the face of Fuke while he's down. Now, while that is legal, there's an unwritten rule and understanding among fighters that you just don't do that.
Yeah, you know, they have a nice reversal by Fuke heading into the side control position. Most of the fighters in Pancrase do not elect to use the ground and pound type attacks because of the many matches they would have to fight on tours, and also that they were really not about the violence of the sport, but really trying to show the most technique.
And Fuke looks like he got the armbar, and Bezak has to grab the rope for an escape. He's just been deducted 1 point.
Yeah, and that's the kind of technique like I'm talking about. Instead of trying to pound out a victory, Fuke instead looking for a nice submission like that, an armbar to finish this fight.
And it looks like Fuke's picked up a thing or two. This time he gets the takedown.
Yeah, it looks like the momentum coming off of that armbar has really helped help Fuke to sort of get that energy up and maybe even slowed Bezak down a little bit, caught him off guard, and has taken a bit of the fight out of him.
Now, I'm not exactly sure how much training Bezak had leading up to this competition, but he's got to be a little bit winded. He's a pretty big guy.
Nice heel hook attempt by, and he gets it by
taps
Fuke.
out. And Yoshiki Fuke wins his third fight, 3-4 in the first round. Scott Bezak yet to win a match. This match ends in the first round at 3 minutes and 4 seconds.
そうですね、なんか最初結構デビュー戦っていうか最初の試合なんでバーッと来ると思ったんですよ僕。でそれでこうやってその隙でこうタックルに行こうと思ったんですけど、それが全然来なかったんで逆になんかあーっていうような感じで僕の攻撃もちょっと中途半端になって、でそれで結構そうですね、なんかどう攻めようかなと思ってるままにこう決まったっていうような感じですね。
And now this next fight, I'm sure you can't wait to watch this. We've got two huge names, Masakatsu Funaki and Boss Rutan.
Yeah, this, I believe, will be the first meeting between the two of them of what would be a legendary series of fights.
And let's see how that first meeting went.
Masakatsu Funaki versus Boss Rutan.
And as we see Boss Rutan coming into the ring now, his nickname is El Guapo, Josh, which 4 years of high school Spanish has taught me means the handsome one. Now, I think you're the perfect person to ask because your nickname is the Babyface Assassin. Is Boss Rutan worthy of the nickname El Guapo?
You know what? I would slip Boss Rutan my number if I had a few drinks.
And of course, Boss Rutan, a very good striker, but Funaki, good all around, but he's a submission specialist. I think he's going to want to take this fight to the ground.
Right, you got Funaki with a slight size advantage, but incredibly aggressive and explosive striker in Rutan. Very dangerous. At any moment, any one of those strikes could take you down and out, and the fight could quickly be over for you. But Funaki is going to have the edge in experience and all-around ability.
And Boss Rutan 2-0, undefeated thus far. Masakatsu Funaki, on the other hand, he's 3-1, and we saw that loss, which was against Wayne Shamrock in the first ever event of Pancrase.
Well, certainly losing to somebody like Ken Shamrock is not really anything to be upset about, but understandably so, he's got a very tough opponent in front of him with Boss Rutan.
You would make a great motivational speaker, Josh, if you aren't one already. As this fight starts, Boss Rutan probably going to try some strikes with the leg early on.
Boss just waiting to explode with a strike at any moment.
And there, almost knocked Funaki down for a second. Funaki gets back up, and a very wise move by Masakatsu Funaki. While Boss is striking, he took him down.
Yeah, exactly. Boss just throws everything behind every single strike he throws. While that is part of the reason for his so many devastating and quick knockouts, it also leaves him a bit open to things like the takedown, which Funaki took well advantage of.
Now, you might notice some of the writing on Boss's hands. On the back of his hands, he has there you see it, the letter R, which is him reminding himself to relax so he doesn't get gassed. And Josh, as a fighter, how easy is it to expend all your energy early on and not have enough when it counts?
Well, it could really happen at any moment. If you think that maybe you've knocked a guy down, you damaged him, that the fight could be over at any minute, get real amped up and the adrenaline starts pumping and you throw everything you got into something. Well, if they're able to survive that, You might think that, well, that wasn't the wisest choice out there, but being relaxed and calm is really a necessity in the fight game, because if you can't keep your head about you, then there's no way you're going to be able to react very, very well, or at least make the right decisions when you're in a tight spot in the fight.
But at the same time, Funaki is a submission specialist. Boss Rutan can't be too relaxed. If he's too relaxed for a moment, Funaki could submit him.
That's true. That's true. And right here, it looks like Rutan is really just trying to get a stalemate going by clamping down on Funaki and really just, and not so much as countering his techniques, but just not giving him anything to use.
And Funaki, very wise, keeping this fight on the ground where Boss's knees and palm strikes don't really come into play.
Right. Funaki's going to take his time. You know, he's not going to stall. He's not going to be non-aggressive, but he is going to. He's not going to rush anything. He's not going to make any rash decisions. Rutan there, a submission attempt on his behalf for a side choke off of his back.
Funaki still on top in the half guard position.
Rutan clamped down for dear life. Doesn't want to let Funaki get any distance or to isolate any one of his limbs.
And Funaki, thus far in the beginning, looking in control. Boss's undefeated record might be in jeopardy.
Funaki working the top wrist lock there. Maybe looking for a setup for the arm lock from the mount position.
And Boss, nice palm strike to the face. And it looks like that Funaki might have given up on the arm, and now he's going for the ankle.
Yeah, he's got a nice toe hold setup going there. Boss.
And Boss just struck Funaki in the face. And now the ankle is turned. It looks like Boss Rutan gave a closed fist punch to the face of Funaki. Looks like that upset Funaki, who twisted that ankle even more.
Yeah, Funaki just enraged at getting hit with a closed fist by Rutan. Just screams why after the match. You know what's the point? Why did you hit me with a closed fist? Which is really one of the cardinal rules within Pancrase. Is one of the main fouls is not to hit with a closed fist to the face.
So this fight ends 258 in the first round. Now, of course, later in the fight, Rutan and Funaki would both do the Rutan jumps, which was a good moment. And it looks like these guys could be some pretty good gymnasts.
Well, certainly there was no loss of respect between the two fighters, and things do happen within the ring. But at the same time, everything was resolved within the ring, and they'll certainly not make the same mistakes on Rutan's end. And Funaki and Rutan are no beef there.
Perhaps Boss's instincts took over when he had that ankle lock on him.
And certainly you can't completely fault Boss for making a mistake like that, because he is not a seasoned veteran like Funaki at this point.
なんか気持ち的にはすごいスポーツマンで、はい、だからこれから次が怖いですね。次だ慣れたら本当強いですよ。
グラウンド慣れてますよね。
グラウンドそうですね。だいぶ落ち着いてきた。とにかく打撃がすごいですね。もうとてつもない破壊力ですよ。あれはまともに食らったら。だってあいつがあれじゃないですか。頂点打ってる時の写真見たんですけども、サンドバッグがもうこんな折り曲がってますからね。あれはもう本当技術云々抜きにして、もう本当にすごいと思いますよ。
All right, when we come back, our second main event, keep it locked.
「秒殺による決着」という衝撃の試合が続出する中、この日のメインイベントは始まった。そしてその結末にはさらなる衝撃が待ち受けていた。船木が敗れたのである。勝者ウェイン・シャムロック。旗揚げ戦で実力を見せつけたシャムロックはその後も快進撃を続ける。高橋、福建、ウッドラーと容赦ない攻撃で次々と勝利を奪っていった。シャムロックの快進撃をこのまま許しておくわけにはいかない。そしてついに鈴木が挑む時が来た。
あいつはだからね、日本人選手を連覇してきてますから勢いっていうのはすごくあると思います。僕は結構今冷静なんで、だから今本当そういうプレッシャー自体をあんまり感じてないというか、絶対に勝つんだというよりも絶対に負けないっていう気持ちの方が今強いですね。俺は負けられないんだっていう気持ちよりも負けないって今思います。
Wayne Shamrock vs. Minoru Suzuki.
And Suzuki coming into the ring with the trademark black towel, which we talked about last week. A very impressive Pancrase record thus far, 3-1. And I know we also mentioned it last week. He is a video game character. Tekken also did the motion capture for the game, and I guess the producers found a pretty good guy to pick for their.
Well, Suzuki is a really well-versed, not only in submission, but pro wrestling techniques such as suplexes and strikes and the whole nine. So if there was anybody that could give you pretty much anything you needed as far as a movement goes, Suzuki's your man.
Now, he's going to need to be on his A game today because he's going to fight Wayne Shamrock, who is 4-0. Now, he did fight in a UFC bout prior to this, losing to Royce Gracie. But, Josh, I want to ask you, going from Pancrase to UFC, shuttling back and forth with the rule differences, is it a tough transition?
I think it was more of a mental transition for Ken than anything else. And really, I'm one of the firm believers that Ken Shamrock within Pancrase was near unbeatable. Outside of Pancrase, I think that he probably had more difficulty with maybe pressure or stress or the different environments. But I tell you what, if Royce had fought Ken within Pancrase, it would have been a different outcome.
And right there, Ken Shamrock, very aggressive to start. This pace is very rapid, Josh. We don't usually see this.
No, and Shamrock failed a lateral drop attempt, Suzuki in the clinch, but I got to tell you, it's going to be tough work for Suzuki to get Shamrock off his feet. A very hard guy to take down indeed.
A lot of muscle out there, as I can see. Both fighters in terrific physical condition. So if this match were to last, I'd say both fighters have enough to go the distance.
Certainly, but I think that the strength advantage is going to have to go to Shamrock. He's got the weight as well, but Shamrock is an incredibly strong individual. I think he has posted like a 500-pound bench press at one point.
And Shamrock's got Suzuki in a rear mount. Now Suzuki has his head turned from Shamrock. This is a position he does not want to be in.
Well, he's trying to keep his head buried, so not to give Shamrock something to reach across with the face lock or the choke. And he's going to stay there, and he's going to hand fight with Ken for a while. And I think he's going to just sort of ride this position out and maybe look for Ken to make some sort of big movement, get an opening, and maybe look for his escape or a submission attack.
And Ken Shamrock, adopted by Bob Shamrock, has a very tough background, bouncing from juvenile hall and foster homes. I think he's got a lot of pent-up anger to release, and Pancrase seems to be the perfect place.
Well, that seems like a likely story, and Ken, no stranger to fighting, actually made some money early on by doing tough man bouts and was giving a nickname of One Punch for his ability to knock most of his opponents out in one punch.
And while he does have that great punch, he is also a very great guy on the mat, submissions especially, and he almost got the choke in, but it looks like Suzuki survived that.
Yeah, Suzuki is going to be very wise to something like a real basic attack, a real basic entry into a choke, or the arm lock like Ken is working right here off of his back. So I don't expect Suzuki to get caught in such a basic technique. However, I think Ken is really going to be needs to be aware of the heel hook and the ankle locks right now that Suzuki is inside Ken's guard. Suzuki is an incredible leg lock technician, and Ken is no stranger to the heel hook himself. He's made it a staple of his, but Suzuki's not the kind of guy you want on your ankles, and I can attest to that from training with him.
And what exactly did Suzuki do to you, Josh?
He tried to take my ankle off and shove it down my throat when he was done with it.
How did that taste?
Well, luckily I keep my feet pretty clean.
That's a great answer. And maybe trying to do this thing with Shamrock, but not now. He's going for the arms.
Yeah, he's working the wrist lock. I think maybe he's really just trying to pull Ken into the center of the ring and maybe use it more like a feint. As you can see, Ken's leg there, his left knee is bandaged up, so maybe not 100% coming into this fight.
And with that full guard, can to an extent control Suzuki's body position.
Right, as long as his legs are locked, he's gonna be able to keep Suzuki in position. But the minute that guard breaks, he's in danger of Suzuki attacking the ankles.
And I think Suzuki was getting a little annoyed with that guard. Try to take Ken Shamrock's leg off him, unsuccessful though.
Yeah, Ken's very powerful indeed, and so he's gonna have to use a lot of technique as well as quite a bit of muscle to get Ken to let go.
Suzuki now in the side control, working on the arm of Shamrock.
Double wrist lock attempt on Suzuki. Going to be tough to get on Ken. Ken being very aware of it, keeping his arm straightened out, not allowing Suzuki to grab his own wrist there. Suzuki certainly going to stay in position as he feels very strong there.
Now this fight started at a furious pace, but has since slowed down. Do you think the fighters are being a little bit cautious because they know just how good their opponent is?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of really big openings for either one of them to just sort of fly off the handle and go into any sort of submissions or strikes at this point. But between two masters of the ground like this is very typical. It's more like a chess match right now.
Suzuki has the mount on Shamrock.
Again, working the arms, cross-facing, trying to get Ken to give up an opening. Working kind of a neck lock there to not a very high percentage move, but certainly one to get Ken to move.
And a nice quick reversal by Shamrock. What did we just see there?
Nice. That was just a perfect bridge.
And that's all we're going to show for now. You're going to have to find out the conclusion of what happens after the break. Now we'll go to the conclusion of that fight. And we pick up right where we left off. Ken Shamrock just had a great reverse move, and now he has Suzuki rear mounted.
Yeah, he's got the back control here, working for a power half Nelson, it looks like. Maybe to turn Suzuki over or work over for a neck lock or an armbar. Suzuki, being wise though, is not going to let Ken Shamrock get the position to insert that half Nelson.
Now Suzuki right now seems to be in a very defensive position. Now how does he change that defense into offense?
Well, if Ken reaches through under Suzuki's armpit like he does on the right side, Suzuki might go after a double wrist lock from on the bottom, or maybe Victor will do a dive roll and catch his knee, catch Shamrock's leg on the way under and go for a leg lock. The other thing he could do is just work to get back to his feet, try to break Shamrock's grip and continue the fight from there, maybe a striking match.
And as you said, Ken Shamrock's knee might not be 100%. How much does that impact you in the ring?
Well, any fighter that's been around the business long enough, you're going to go into the ring with injuries, minor injuries here and there. But depending on the severity of that could really be in the back of Ken's mind at all times, and something that he's got to protect.
And Ken has a hold of one of Suzuki's ankle, perhaps going for an ankle lock sometime soon.
Maybe, or just working for the breakdown to try and get Suzuki on his back, maybe ride him some more, trying to wear him out. He's got 30 minutes to work over Suzuki here, and certainly you don't have to, this fight doesn't have to be a sprint.
And perhaps that's why Suzuki doesn't seem to be in a rush to get out of this position so far.
Right. This also may be a ploy on Suzuki's part to get Ken to expend a lot of energy trying to break him down or work for a hold.
So perhaps Suzuki playing a little cat and mouse maybe.
Maybe. Ken with a crab ride, looking for that neck, looking for an opportunity to catch that face.
I think his eyes say it all, and I think he's trying. I'm not sure how successful he is, though.
Well, he's got that left arm very deep, but it looks like his position is falling off to the side, and he's got a one-on-one with his right hand, which can help keep him in decent position, but he's really dangerous to losing control of his position there and having Suzuki get inside his guard and to gain the top position.
Suzuki not rushing anything, and now it looks like this is his opportunity. Now Suzuki finds his way on top.
And he's got Shamrock's leg there, isolated in a strange position. Ken going for the heel hook. Suzuki defending, keeping his foot planted firmly on the mat and looking for a heel hook of his own.
Both fighters on the ground now, working very hard.
Suzuki gets that injured leg of Shamrock. Look at him crank that heel hook and go into the knee bar.
And Shamrock has to grab the rope. He gets deducted 1 point, but that's gotta hurt. I'm not sure if he's in good enough shape to continue.
That heel hook was vicious, and when Ken reacted to escape that knee bar, he rolled right from the heel hook right into the knee bar, and Suzuki made the most of it and just tore his leg up.
And Suzuki, the winner, 7:37 in the first round. He looks very, very excited.
Yeah, that's a big win for Suzuki. The first guy in Pancrase to take Ken Shamrock down and get the win over him.
And let's take a listen to Suzuki's press conference after the fight.
これでもう船木の後鈴木が追ってるとか、いつも2番手の鈴木とかもう言わせません。俺船木さんに勝った人に俺勝ちましたから、胸張って真横に並んで、で本当の意味のハイブリッドレスリングっていうので船木さんと勝負してみたいです。
We just saw a great bout, Minoru Suzuki versus Ken Shamrock. Now, coming into this fight, Josh, I had high expectations. I think they were met.
Most certainly. That was really the best of the arts right there. And what a huge win for Minoru Suzuki to be the first person to defeat what was looking like the Gaijin monster in Ken Shamrock.
No easy task.
No, certainly not.
All right, that does it for all the fights we have today. But before we go, let's check out this week's event highlight.
A vicious, well-applied heel hook by Suzuki. Ken rolling to escape that heel hook falls right into the knee bar on the injured leg. Suzuki skillfully set that up and closed the trapdoor.
And I think our editors slow-moed that just to show how much pain Shamrock is in. And Suzuki, look at his face. He is putting everything he's got into it.
Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Ken Shamrock's ACL was torn completely by that. Yeah, that's a heel hook in the knee bar, very devastating leg attacks themselves, and Ken would go on to have his own rash of heel hook attacks against opponents after this, maybe a bit of a retribution.
All right, that does it for this week's fight. Please join us next week for more exciting Pancrase action. I'm Rob Wu.
And I'm Josh Barnett.
Thanks for watching. Same time, same place, next week.